Hello and welcome to the Cheers Registry Training Series. In this video, we will cover how to create a new HVAC Alteration CF1R ALT-02. So after logging in, you'll want to be on the site homepage. And over here to the right, we have our new creation button. So you're going to use this to create any of the alterations or non-res projects within the system. So this will default to the last type of project that you created. The last one I did was a 2016 HVAC alteration, so that's the default button. So it's really quick. If you're doing multiple of those, it stays the same. But if you do need to do something different, you can click on the down arrow here, and we provide you a list of the possible options to select from. So for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and do a 2016 ALT-02. So I'll just click on that button. And it's going to take us straight to the data entry form. So unlike the old Cheers where you had to create the project separately and you enter in some basic information, site name and address and all of that, we've incorporated that all into a single step. So now we're going to create the project as well as enter the data for the ALT-02 at the same time. So the layout's a little bit different. So all of our forms, we've moved all of the information about the form status, and the sign options, and the save. We've moved that from the bottom to the top of the form. So up here at the top, you'll see we have this kind of blue bar with a couple of buttons in it. So this is where all that information's at. So we start here on the left, we have our sign button. So it's going to remain at the top here. It is not active right now. It will get a bluish colored background when it is active and ready to sign. And we'll see that when we get to the bottom of the form. We do provide a save button. However, all of our forms have been updated so that they automatically update as you work your way through the form. So the buttons here, in case you need to save your work and close out of the form, but you no longer need to click save as you make your way down through the form. It's going to automatically update, and we'll see that as we go through. Our next button here is our close button. So if you need to close out of the form for whatever reason, you can do that. We do recommend that you click save before you close out of it, but you don't necessarily need to. It's just kind of an extra safety step for you. And then finally over here to the right, we do have our form status. So this clicking on this button will toggle the list open and closed. And so we provide some of your feedback here, similar to the old one, but a little bit more user-friendly. We're going to show you all of the items that are incomplete, as well as provide a quick link that will jump you straight to that question. So if it's one of the longer forms and you're not sure exactly where it's at, you don't want to scroll looking for it, you click the button here and it's going to take you right to that section within the form. We also provide if there's something that is either failing or it's more of a section, it's not a specific item, we won't have that quick link. We'll provide those here at the bottom. So to close this, just click on it again and it goes away. Alright, so let's jump down here and let's start doing our data entry. So a couple of changes here. The format's a little bit different, but the flow is going to be very similar to what you're used to. So for each of these sections here, it's either going to be one of three things. It's either going to be highlighted in orange, which means that that section's incomplete, and it's going to need you to enter some data. It'll be highlighted in red, which we don't see that yet, but a red highlight means that it's failing or there's something wrong with the data that you entered. And again, we'll provide you with some feedback if you use the drop-down list here as to why it's failing. And then items that have no background to them. So the building department here, it just is no orange, no red. That means that that item is either optional or you haven't gone far enough through the form to allow us to provide some kind of feedback. So our feedback is designed to work as you move your way from the top to the bottom of the form. You can go out of sequence if you want, but if you go out of sequence, the feedback may not work as expected. So it's best if you work your way down the form, and we'll kind of see how that works as we get into some of the later sections. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to start doing some of our data entry here. You're going to enter in, this is we used to call it site name, we call it project name, but it's the same thing. Whatever you want to enter in here, whether it's the homeowner name or a a numerical code. Again, this one's completely up to you what you want to enter in. And you'll notice that that orange highlight went away as soon as I started typing into that section because it noticed that I addressed it. It's no longer incomplete and it immediately updates. I'm going to go ahead and tab to the next section. And again, you know, our site address here. And again, that highlight goes away as soon as we start typing our zip code. And just like the old forms, when we enter the zip code, we're going to auto-populate both the city as well as provide you the most likely building department. Now, you can change either of those, or if it's the right one, just go ahead and move your way on past them. The building department, we have updated our list some. We think we've made it a little bit smarter. We're going to provide you with a better list to choose from. If for whatever reason there were a few small cracks that some houses, some addresses might fall in to where you don't find the building department that you need, if that's the case, just let us know. We'll update our list, and we'll have to update it once, and then you'll never see that again for that particular house. So go ahead and make that selection there if it's different, or just move on to the next. We'll enter in our permit number, building type. Building type, we default to single family as that is the most common, but you can always change it to multifamily if you'd like. Our dwelling unit name. So this number is going to be auto-populated from the project name. So whether you enter a name or a number, whatever you type in here, we're automatically just going to copy it down to the dwelling unit name. So you can leave that the same, you can change it, do whatever you want with it. Next we have our conditioned floor area, so you're going to enter in your square footage there, and then our climate zone is auto-populated based on the zip code. The CEC has a zip code that has a list of zip codes that match climate zones to them, and so we use that to populate that climate zone. Alright, so that takes care of the first section. And you'll notice I haven't hit save once. We don't need to hit save. We just keep working our way on down the form. So our next section here, this is where we give our space conditioning system name and area and all of that. So this should look somewhat familiar. If you add additional systems and you need to remove, here's our remove option. We look down here. Here's our add option. So they're still at the top and the bottom. And so we'll go through and let's start entering in our information here. So system name, again, we can name that whatever we want. I like to call them system 1, the area served, you know, whether it's the house, upstairs, downstairs, living, sleeping, whatever you want. Conditioned floor area. Now this number, if you're entering in a single system, this number will need to match the number that you entered up here. If it doesn't, we're not going to show you feedback. Normally this would show up in red because that's where the failure is. But because we don't know if you're going to be adding in multiple systems, we don't want to have this highlight in red right away, letting you know there's something wrong. But what we will do is until we get a matching value, whether it's in one system or multiple systems, we will provide that feedback up here, letting you know that the conditioned floor area for all systems needs to add up to the total for the dwelling. So it's going to show a failure overall for the form. But as soon as you enter in either a second system with the remaining square footage, or you enter in the correct value here, if we move to the next, we see that we still have a fail, but that's for a separate reason. But now the failure for the conditioned floor area is no longer there. So we'll move on down. Now we have all of our yes, no questions. So again, we've made this to where as soon as you make a selection, the form is going to auto update. It's just like hitting save every time you move to the next, or as soon as you make your different selection. So we'll notice this one's no right now, and if we look down here where it shows no alteration performed, as soon as I change that to a yes, the form updates, and now it's showing it as an altered space conditioning. So you can see as I toggle back and forth, the form automatically updates. It recognizes the changes that you made, and it's going to update to whatever it happens to be. So I'm going to make this as just an altered space conditioning system. It's very common, and we'll make our way on down to the next section. So again, I don't need to hit save. The correct section down below displays, and it will allow me to go through and enter in the various items. So we're going to identify the heating system type from our drop down here called a central gas furnace. We do need to make a selection in here, and this you can select one or more items depending on what it needs. And so for this one, I'm going to say no heating component was altered. We'll select that, and you'll notice that down here this automatically updates. If I change that back again, say maybe we have all new heating components. Well, now I'm going to provide a heating efficiency type. And as soon as I do that, then the heating efficiency minimum value shows up. Or I decide that no, it's going to be, no heating component altered, those goes away. So again, much more user friendly, automatically updates to whatever you need it to do as you work your way through that form. So let's say this is central split AC, and we've got all new heating components. Again, we're going to default to SEER as that's the most common that we see for this. And we've got our cooling efficiency minimum value of 14 SEER. Again, you can change either one of these. These are just defaults to try and save you a little bit of time. And then finally, how much new or replaced duct length you need. Either it's none, greater than 40, less than, or equal to 40. We're going to say greater than 40 on this one. And then it auto updates your duct R value. Now at this point, you normally need to scroll down to the bottom of the form to sign the document, but we've moved that. Now our signing option is up here at the top. You know, now that it's got that light blue background, form's passing, so it means that it's ready to be signed. And so now let's take a look at what signature options we have. So we'll click on sign, and what I'll note here is I am logged in as an HVAC contractor. So what the HVAC contractor sees is going to be a little bit different than what a HERS rater that is signed in and acting as a document author would see when they go to sign this. So let's look at our installer options first, and then I'll log out. I'll log back in as an HVAC or as a HERS rater, and we'll look at what options they have to select from. So to aid in adding members to the project, at this point, a lot of HVAC installers or contractors are going to know what HERS rater they're going to use on that group. So we provide this option here to allow them to identify and add a HERS rater to the project without having to do it through the site details. So the easy way to do that is you just want to enter in the rater company name, and we will provide this as our smart list. So no longer do we have these drop downs where you have this super long list of companies to select from. This one is now smart. You go through, you start typing it in, and we're going to provide you with a short list based on the information you provide. Find the company that matches what you want, select it, and now this company is going to be notified through either the web alert and an email, or just the web alert, depends on how they have it set up, but they will receive some kind of notification that they've been added to this project. Again, this is optional. You can leave that blank. You don't have to do it. So down here below, we now don't have separate options for signing as a document author and responsible party. If you are logged in as a user that is allowed to sign this document as the responsible party, we just default to that option. So we go right to the responsible person. We provide the name. Again, this is going to be very similar to that drop down you see on the old site. Most often it's going to be just a single company, but if you are a general user or you have different users within your account that can sign this document, we give you that option to select from. So we do still allow you to sign as a document author if that's what you prefer. We provide a link here that will take you to that separate option and allow you to do that. And we'll look at that here in just a second. So if you are signing as a responsible party, select the right signature that you're going to use, and then you have two options here at the bottom. You can sign and close this document, which will take you back to the site details, or you can click on sign and next. So if you have additional documents that you want to sign, if you're the installing contractor, you're doing the ALT-02 and you want to follow that immediately by completing the MEC-01, click on sign and next. It's going to sign this document and it's going to immediately open the MEC-01 so you can start filling that out. You don't have to open it separately through site details. And then our last button over here to the side is just our back button. That'll take you back into the form. If you need to edit something or change something, you can do that and reverse out of this signature option. So let's take a look at what options we have under the document author signature tool. So again, we still have the option to assign the HERS rater. That's always going to stay. And if we go down below, if you want to sign just as a document author and you don't want to do anything else, all you have to do is come down here and click on either sign and close or sign in next. But we do provide two additional optional items for designating the responsible signer. So if you happen to have the responsible signer is there with you, you can have them come over and you can select them from the list. They do have to be a project member or part of your company. You can select them. They can enter in their password, and then when you click on sign and close, it will log you as the document author, it'll log them as the responsible party, and you can move on through the process. This saves them having to log in through their own account on a separate computer and going in and signing it. It's just easy for them to come in, enter their information, and you can move on to the next step. Or we have the option to designate the responsible signer. So this is very similar to our current workflow. You can come in here. Again, they need to be a member of the project, so you can select them from the list. Once you select them, you click on sign and close, then they will receive a notification, again, either through the web alert and an email, or if they don't have the email selected, just through the web alert. And so they'll receive that notification as soon as you sign and close. So let's just go back here and come back, go back into sign. We're going to sign this as the responsible party. Click on sign and close, and so that brings us back to our new site details page. And you can see now the document's been complete, it's signed, it's passed, and we talk about what all these buttons do on our general navigation video. So you can take a look at that if you want a little bit more information about what you see here. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. I'm going to log out, log back in as a rater company, and we'll look at what options they have to sign this document. Okay, so I've gone ahead and completed another ALT-02, this time logged in as a rater company. So now I'm ready to sign the document, so I'm going to click on sign. And so again, a little bit different because when a rater company, when you're logged in and you create that, you're automatically added as a project member. So we don't need to add the HERS rater. Same thing with the HVAC contractor. When they create it, they're automatically added as a project member. So at this point, again, the HERS rater can only sign as a document author on the CF1Rs. So they don't have the option to sign using signature authority. So your two options are either if you happen to be on site with the HVAC contractor, you're creating this document for them, and they are there. You can hand over your tablet or your phone, whatever you're using to create this document. They can enter in their username and their password, and then you go ahead and click on sign and close or sign and next, and it will apply your signature as a document author and then their signature as the responsible party. If the HVAC contractor is not there and you need to designate them as responsible signer, you want to notify them that this document's ready, then you go ahead and you select them from the list. Again, this is that smart list. So we're going to type in part of the company name, and so there's the user. I want to notify that user that this document is ready for them to responsible sign. And again, now click sign and close or sign in next, and they will be notified depending on how they have their alerts set up, through either the web alert or through the email or both, again depending on how they have that signed up. So that brings us to the end of creating that ALT-02 and what signature options you have as either an installing contractor or a HERS rater. Big changes. We love not having to click sign, so we're hoping to make that this makes your data entry much quicker and allows you to move through that process much easier. As always, we're interested in your feedback, so please don't hesitate to reach out to us and let us know what you think. We always keep a log of that, and we make those changes and updates as we can. So thank you for watching. Reach out to us with any questions, comments, concerns, and enjoy the rest of your day.